questions. Again, if you could just raise your hand, we'll take care of it that way. Camera's rolling. You guys good up there? Good, good. All right, go ahead, Coach.
Just, exciting game, exciting matchup. Obviously, to go down to Austin in what's a great college football environment and play against a really talented and well-coached Texas team. And we've played to a level that's put us in position to play in some really exciting games. And obviously, this one's incredibly meaningful for so many reasons. But I think the most significant is that it's two good teams, and it gives us a chance to, keep aim towards our long-term goals. And so this is climb number 9 for us. We're relatively healthy. Obviously, this time of year, you're going to be bumped and bruised. But I think we've had a good start to the week with respect to work. This is going to be a focused team, and just excited for the challenge.
We'll start Teresa and then go to Chris.
Clark, Arch Manning is in the concussion protocol for Texas this week. How does that affect preparation? Do you have to prepare for him and the potential backup just to be ready?
We will, certainly, and I hope that Arch is doing well. I mean, I want to, obviously, being a competitor is about competing against the best, and he gets the attention that he gets for a reason. And so I also hope just for his health, like we hope for everyone's health. It's unfortunate to see guys get hurt. This is a physical game, but also, have competed against Sark enough to know this is a team of an offensive system, and so there are elements and parts of the system that we're going to focus on in our kind of developing a plan to contain them and defend them. There's a lot of talented skill on the perimeter. That's going to be a factor no matter who's the quarterback. And there are certain little nuances between the two quarterbacks that we want to make sure we have plans for and we're prepared for. But in the end, I think this is about defending an offense, an offensive system, and really a really talented group of players. I was really impressed with Caldwell when he came in overtime against Mississippi State. He comes in, throws a dime, and wins the game. I think that's a pretty good start for him. So we'll be challenged no matter what. Obviously, we're going to pay attention to both, knowing that there's a chance that we may see the backup. But we'll be ready no matter.
Chris.
Clark, you can choose to use so many things as talking points throughout the week and even pregame to kind of emphasize things to your team. The last 2 weeks, you guys have gotten to the point where you've been favored in these games. Now we're back to you guys are going down there. You're ranked higher, but you're an underdog. Do you use any of that stuff as you go along in the week, just kind of given the journey that you've been on?
It's going to probably not surprise you when I tell you that I don't. And this is actually the first I'm learning of that, so I appreciate you letting me know. Well, I will, yeah. Maybe I'll have you come in and do the team talk. We're focused on us. We're focused on playing our best. We feel like there's still a better performance for us out there. Just like you see with these top 25 rankings, they come, they go, you rise, you fall. I mean, there's really nothing of substance to it. I think what we're aimed at is how we finish the right way this season, how we keep within reach the goals we have, and the meaningful stuff will happen as we approach the end. But it only happens if we're focused totally on ourselves and the performance we want to put on display in Austin. So that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, what are the kind of strengths and weaknesses that you see of both Arch and Caldwell?
Both really good players. Both have arm talent and the ability to throw it. Obviously, I've seen a lot. I think both athletic. Arch has shown his ability to run the ball, to be a physical runner too. He's strong, big frame. I think imbalanced rush shows up as something that, meaning when the cage isn't quite right, Arch has shown the ability to make you pay for that. And so, again, I think, with Arch, you see the elite talent, all the recognition he gets for a reason, the arm strength, the decision making. With Caldwell, again, with the sample size we have, here's a guy who's played in his career, who has gotten into games this year. It certainly did a great job coming in against Mississippi State. Appears to be confident, appears to be comfortable, and is going to be dangerous all the same. So there are things that make them unique. Obviously, I think their skill sets are similar. We know a little more about Arch this season just because he's played more snaps, but both have the ability to be dangerous and a threat. And again, so much of this is also about the supporting cast out there too.
Joey, then Henry.
The Suns are here this week, obviously kind of studying you guys. Just what does it mean to have somebody come in and kind of observe what you're doing? And I know you kind of used New Mexico State as that a few years ago, and you guys went out there playing too. Just could you tell me about that experience having them here?
Well, it's great. I mean, this is I think we're a part of like a little learning community where there are certain programs or organizations that kind of connect because of the shared curiosity, similar approaches. Obviously, Damien, I got a ton of respect for, and it was fun. It's been fun for me to be able to share ideas with them and talk about our teams, and they're going through a similar build as we've gone through. We share Box to Box and Netflix as a common partner, so that there's a connective point there. But these are opportunities for us to grow in these partnerships as well, and so sometimes the best way to learn is to learn through the lens of a different game because it keeps it fresh. And though our sport's different, a lot of the problems and issues are human-based, and in that way, there's a lot of common ground in how we problem solve. So I'm grateful for them being here, and I'm excited to have them here for a couple of days and to continue to share ideas and learn and grow together.
Yeah, how do you guys keep your team grounded in a moment like this? Obviously, with the Alabama loss a few weeks ago, does that brought up as motivation to win on the road this weekend?
No, we won't talk about that. That climb's gone and done, and we took learning forward from that, and we're stronger because of that experience. So we do recognize that part of it. We stay grounded because we ultimately descend every week, and we start again at the beginning, and that's about process. And so that's where we are. We understand the challenge. I think at this point in the season, as we get into November, you're approaching the end point to the regular season, and so our focus is on maintaining our freshness. I was not proud of the way we played last year in November, and a lot of that all of it I take responsibility for, but problem solving that has been a year-long quest for me. Looking for ways we can stay fresher longer, and here we are starting this November stretch. And we're continuing to look for ways that we can both stay engaged and stay in our process and be humble in our process, and also pull back on some of the loading and stay fresh. The game Saturday was a tough physical, emotional game. We need to be conscious of the fact that every game we play from here on out is going to be a tough, emotional, physical game. I'm really interested in seeing this team sustain our effort levels and our output levels on Saturdays, and to do that, I've got to be nuanced with how I approach the week. So, again, we're not going to go back 3 weeks and revisit how we didn't do what we needed to do on the road in Alabama. What we will do is lean on the learning from that experience and others, and also make sure that we're prepared perfectly to go give our best effort on Saturday. And we don't write the script. We perform, but we don't write the script. We better be men of action, men of response, and that's kind of what makes for good play on Saturdays.
We'll go next to Henry.
Being this far into the season, are there any players that have kind of emerged or come into their own as like leaders behind the scenes?
We have I don't, we have as many captains as anybody in the country. So there's a lot of leadership on this team. I think that's a great thing. Obviously, we honored Jordan White by adding him as a captain in the Utah State week. He's really emerged obviously, and been honored that way. I think we're strengthening in performance in a lot of places. I feel like our corner play has gotten better the last couple of weeks. I've been pleased with how we've kind of eliminated some space in moments where we needed to. Interior line of scrimmage. I think Jalen Stone and Josh Singh have put together some strong performances as guys that were, depth guys that have really emerged in some pretty important roles. Nick Rinaldi, I know he's been really productive, but I see him playing better and better as a linebacker each week, which is really exciting. I think, we obviously faced a real challenge last week in the run game, and some of the plays he made in the box, that was really impressive to me. Offensively, I think the guys, we've kind of had this depth, this celebration of depth the entire year. You see guys continuing to make plays. Trey made a huge one. I think Trey's practicing better. Huge catch on Saturday in a big moment. Obviously, Eli Stowers is nothing new, but a couple of big ones for him too. And MK has really emerged, obviously, as a difference maker for us over there. We know what Seti brings. I think MK has been a great counterpunch. So no surprises there, but I think a lot of guys contributing to our success, and the depth has helped us to be in the position to be as healthy as we are this late in the year.
Graham, then Joey.
Yeah, Texas defense, one of the tougher defenses in the country, especially in crunch time. What do you see, that makes it so challenging on their defense? And then are there any specific players that, you are focusing on?
Well, I mean, they're big and physical through the middle. They make run space hard to come by. And I think they're maybe third in the country in rushing defense or something to that effect. That shows up. This is a team, if you get third and off schedule, they're hard to protect against. There's a lot of talented, long guys that are fast and are collapsed in the pocket. Staying on schedule is a huge part of trying to find success. And then there is space on the film, not for any flaw, but just because, each week there should be some level of space. And we have to be really skilled at designing formationally to understand where that space is going to be, and then we have to execute to attack it. And I don't see a lot of weaknesses for him. You asked about players. I think across the board, this is, again, a really talented group. But we believe in who we are, and in terms of our system, it's designed to try to challenge the defense. So, how do we focus on us? How do we understand what makes them good, and how do we focus on us and our execution, and try to create challenges for them to solve for? And you mentioned too, and I think this team in general, Texas, they know how to close the gap. They're never out of the game. And so it's going to take a 4-quarter effort, we have to play well over 4 quarters, but we don't have to play above who we are, right? This is about playing Vanderbilt football. So nothing extra, just focus and execution, and guys showing up with the right attitude, right emotional energy for an 11 a.m. kick. But I trust our guys to do that.
Joey, then Chris.
You guys seem to really have leaned into the misfit messaging recently. Can you tell me where that started and kind of who had the idea and where it came from?
Well, we've always kind of celebrated the fact that, this is just our identity. We connect with this idea that we're all kind of outcasts, and this goes back for a couple years. But the actual misfit name came, after some summer messaging and summer conversation, and then we have a couple times in the summer where we'll take a Saturday and we'll split the team up into groups, and we'll share. It's like non-football kind of chance opportunities for coaches, staff, players to express who they are, where they're from, why this is important to them, and it's just conversation, and in one of those meetings, while our guys are listening to each other talk, I'm 99% sure I believe it was Brian Longwell who said, God, we really are a group of misfits. And if I've got that wrong, I'll correct it on Thursday. But I think it was Longwell that started it. And as it turns out, he's a pretty glaring misfit himself. So it's something we kind of embrace within ourselves, but embrace within each other. And it may seem surface level externally, but internally, it's really meaningful, and it's galvanizing to us. And it was born from within us. This isn't something that I've slapped on a T-shirt. This is something the players recognize within themselves and within each other, and so it's important to us.
Chris.
Cedric's an Austin guy. Can you kind of speak to A, how critical he's been to you guys' offense this year, and B, do you notice when, like, let's say if you guys go and play in the hometown of someone who is on your team, a road game, if there's an emotional element there to that? Yeah,
I do. I think it's important that we recognize that as a team, because we owe Seti our best effort. I mean, he means a lot to us. His family means a lot to us, and this is an important game for him. So he's been fantastic. I mean, this is a guy who's grown up in our program, who kind of was thrust into early action probably before he was ready. And I think if anything, I'd like to see him even more involved, more touches, because whether it's in the passing game or in the running game, I mean, he's proven the ability to be explosive and be a playmaker for us. And he does the little things the right way. He's physical and in pass protection, physical when he blocks for the quarterback in the run game. And so, we want to represent him really well in Austin, in his hometown. And in the same vein, AB, is a transfer from Texas, and we talked about that this morning too. And look, none of these things, they just set a course for the boundaries of our preparation, the energy we put into our preparation. On Saturday, we got to play the game. So, but we're going to spend time and be intentional about understanding how important these games are for players that are from the area or previously played on the team. And, we want to make sure that, again, we go down and represent for them because it's important.
Last question, Joey.
Brandon mentioned earlier that maybe the action has shifted away from him a little bit because there's a book out on him, and he had to kind of realize that and maybe take note of that as he went into each game. Like, how have you kind of coached him through that, and is that something you've noticed that maybe teams are trying to avoid him a little bit?
Well, first of all, for as disruptive as he was a year ago, there is a book out. I mean, and I think a lot of that book is, run to the boundary. This is for as much pressure as we've shown to the field, and again, for having that extra defender over there as an overhang, we see a lot of formation to the boundary. We see a lot of run to the boundary. There's ways we can plan around that, but because he's on the perimeter, there's also opportunities for them to avoid him. So, and Randon and I have a good relationship, and certainly we talk and have connection. But the mentoring that he's undertaken this year, as he's learned how to play within himself and not hold it too tight, that's been about he and Jimmy Thompson and Steve Gregory and those guys really working together, Nick Lazinski working together because it's hard as a player. These guys all care so much, and they want to be involved. They want to do their part. And when they don't feel like they're doing their part, whether it's because the plays are there and they're not making them, or the plays aren't there. I think what we do as competitors is we press and we try to find the play. And the truth is, what we need to do is just stay committed to process, to play the game the right way, and eventually have the patience. The play will come to you. And, Randon played a big role in our win against Missouri, and I think those are examples, again, of the play coming to him. And so I appreciate him for his thoughtfulness, and I appreciate him for how much he cares about this. And I think it's been cool to see he and Jimmy collaborate this year to get settled and just to have some peace around the fact that, play the game the right way, which he does, and eventually you're rewarded. And he was this past weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.